I'm Tim Hooper.
And I'm Mike Gandolfo.
And this is The Trust Factor,
where high touch
plus high tech
multiplied by high trust
equals the real estate professional's formula for success.
All right, welcome back to The Trust Factor. Mike Gandolfo, Tim Hooper, in a season of transition. We're deep in the middle of spring. Things are blooming. Just celebrated Easter, and Here we are, man. Just a lot of things going on. Tim, you've got some exciting things going on in your world.
Oh man,
actually,
spring has sprung and changes with it.
What's going on in your world? I'm taking full credit for, by the way.
You should. I mean, you're in real estate. You absolutely should. What's going on in my world is, man, I did not think we would be back in the real estate game from a move standpoint. And here we are moving. Not moving far, we're moving like an hour. It feels like we're moving across town, really, because we've lived remote for 8 years. And the nearest Walmart, well, I guess Walmart nearest is Farmville, Virginia, so 30 minutes. But anyway, Home Depot, an hour. Hobby Lobby, an hour. Like we're trucking to Richmond or Lynchburg or Charlottesville because we're rural Virginia. By the way, if you are a stay-at-home or work from home, large family in the city looking to get out of the city, my place is probably already rented, but there's that. I'm telling you, for 8 years on Highway 15, we have thrived as a family with land and space and goats and sheep and rabbits and healing from cancer and deepening faith. And like, I actually used Suno the other day, Mike. And I put all of the things that have happened in our front yard into AI and had it create a song. And you know what it labeled it?
What?
The Highway of Grace.
Oh, that's pretty fitting right there.
So I'll have to send you the song. But anyway, it was like a recap of all of the things and God moments along the highway. So it was like amazing. And then all of a sudden, Jen feels this move. Of course, I mean, Nicole committing to, Liberty University and all that, that's, I'm certain, had to do with where we're moving. But it was like, I was like, no, you're going to move. And we felt like clear. So here we are, spring market and back in the game.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I'm like, the spring market is going to be, and I'm like, there were 3 offers on the house we're buying. It's not a bad, different places obviously are different, but
we had multiple offers last night.
Real estate is happening. So
yeah,
seasons have changed, man. So we're leaning in. I've not been in this position because when we moved from Tennessee to Virginia, we did a cash move. I've not been in this position of like
going
lending
through the loan
and all
process
that for 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's real. I mean, I coach in this space, so like I get it. And all the communication, I'm like, dude, you could have totally, and it's terrible being a coach. I'm like, dude, you could have totally gotten ahead of that. You could have been proactive with that a week ago or whatever. It's terrible. So if God is really stretching my grace.
So what you're trying to say is if you get a chance to see Tim speak in the next, I don't know, 6 months to a year, he's going to have a fresh perspective of going through exactly like the lending and the title aspect of what's going on. So that's
it's
awesome.
Already been great. What about you, man? It's
interesting that you mentioned the things that you just said about the multiple offers. And like I said, obviously we're recording on a weekend that's this will come out probably in like 3 or 4 weeks, but we had multiple offers yesterday. Chris, when I say we, I should say Chrissy had multiple offers yesterday, who I will call the best listing agent in Louisville. And
she is.
And you know what else I'm more impressed by? Not only her working multiple offers, but as she was working multiple offers, we had an agent send a release for another house that Chrissy has listed. And it's just a reminder, I think, too, of like the skill gap that is going on in our industry right now. And then there's still a scarcity mindset of in a lot of ways. So I say a scarcity mindset because honestly, like this agent who had the contract on this house, and this house actually also had multiple offers. Was probably like, she lives like an hour and a half away, probably was out of the market she should have been in, but she gets the referral and she doesn't want to refer it out and get the referral fee. She wants to hold it all to herself or whatever. And then just the inability to communicate as we went through the inspection process, because she's in another market, she actually uses a different key to get into houses. So Chrissy had to accommodate getting her into houses or these contractors into houses. And
wow,
the communication was kind of poor. And then just like when it came down to it, her client just really like got stressed out at the end because of all these moving parts, and it was like, I'm done. And she didn't do anything to be like, hey, take a deep breath. Like, let's look at this from, does this house still meet your needs? And we go back on the market, or we go back out, we start looking again. This is what we can expect. Let's go see, let's get an idea of what's out there right now. And is this still the best deal possible for us? Even though we got some of these issues. And she calls Chrissy, or she actually doesn't call Chrissy, because I mean, let's be real. It's not happening a whole lot now. Like, one of the things that we should talk about from the high tech standpoint is the fact that you can actually make phone calls from this device in your hand. Because
isn't that amazing?
When you communicate digitally all the time, and I'm gonna just call my wife out and hope she doesn't listen to this episode. My wife is reading tone into that text. Like, whatever headspace my wife's in, and if she wants to listen, my wife came from a fighting neighborhood, and if she's in a fighting mood and she reads your text in a fighting mood, like that's gonna come out now. And this was not the case yesterday, but I think at the end of the day, like, agents have lost. I remember when I got in the business and we still had to call people to schedule appointments, and my mindset, Tim, was I just started negotiating when I requested the appointment. I started building rapport. I started demonstrating that I was going to be easy to work with. I demonstrated how good of a communicator I was going to be. And that is such a lost art in the real estate space right now that can win you business. If you're in a multiple offer situation and the client and the agent on the other side knows, like, oh, here's Tim Hooper. Man, this guy communicates great. He's on top of it. Like, I have no concerns about this guy getting to the closing table.
Right.
And if it's even close, that you're winning that deal. Right.
Yep.
And so anyway, so Chrissy calls her after she gets the release digitally, and she's like, hey, like, did you even talk to your client? Like, my people would be reasonable here. If there's things that we don't know about the house or whatever else, like, they're very reasonable. And and she couldn't even get out of her own way to even just make a repair request. And so now what is impressive about what Chrissy did, it's Chrissy, before she talked to the seller, she went back when all the other people who wrote an offer, everyone else who showed it, I think she's going to get it under contract again today because of her communication level.
Right.
Of how she's like, great, you're gone. Let's go find the next one.
Yeah.
She's usually really good about accepting the backup offers, but I don't think we're seeing that as much right now. I mean, we're still seeing some multiples, but we're not seeing the people who want to be the backups. And Tim, I'll tell you, man, when you look at the data, when you look and you realize that we've seen like a 500% increase in the number of deals that fall out of escrow.
Wow.
Because
wait 500%?
Yeah, it's like 5x of what we were seeing. Like a typical month nationally, if I might be getting these numbers wrong, but I'm in the ballpark. Okay. A typical month of nationally is about 12,000 deals kind of fall apart. Okay. Now we're talking what we did, like 4.7 million transactions last year. So 12,000 fall apart. That got up to like last July, I believe, got up to 70,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that goes back to the skill level of the agent. It's 100% on the skill level of the agent. If you have a willing buyer and a willing seller, the agent's got to figure it out. And that doesn't mean you cut your commission, but the agent should be able to figure it out.
Right. Wow.
So,
how much of that is how much of that is lender side, lender driven?
Not
Like
very much.
pre-approval offers getting down to.
Yeah, let me tell you, I guess my perspective on that. I'm trying to make sure I say this without like really making sure I rock the apple. Well, what do I care about? It's about shaking up the apple cart.
This is about trust. This is about a trust factor, and I feel like I'll just tell you this. I experienced and I knew our posture. I knew our assets. I knew the deal. Like I'm not saying I'm a lender. I'm not a lender. I'm not saying I know it all. I've lived in this space long enough. Like I was just telling them all of our financials up front, like where we're at. And I had, because of our strong posture, I had 3 lenders without really digging in.
There you go.
Yeah. And I'm like, hang on. Like, and then when I saw, I was like, well, send me your like loan estimate or whatever. And then they sent me over the thing. I'm like, dude, I was like, you're not even, I'm like, what is that number? What is this origination number? I'm like, so I'm calling up, hey, you're like 20 grand off here. Like just, oh no, I forgot to put a lender credit on there. Oh, whatever. I'm like, you are playing a game.
Yep.
You're trying to lock me down with you before you even knowing my situation. So anyway, not to get onto lenders. I think everybody has their go-to-market strategy. Trust has to be your strategy, because right when that was broken, I don't even want to talk to you again. You're like, you know what I mean? It's like, don't try to work it so hard. You work the nut, like dig in with me, learn my story. Like somebody said, slow down to sell fast.
Mm-hmm. John Wooden used to say something similar as the basketball coach, that, you know, smooth as slow, or so I got to remember the quote is, but it's something along those lines. Like basically you slow down to make it smooth, because that's going to make it fast. Like if you don't have time to do it right the first time, when do you have time to do it over, kind of idea.
Yeah.
You're hitting something really heavy there, because I think what happens is this all goes back to how the agent and the lender are trained at the beginning. Okay. You know, they might be trained in a way that says, oh, don't invest too much time up front, because you know, you don't know, if you have the business or whatever. I don't know, take their income statement and what you think their debts are, give them a quick, like, hey, you're pre-approved based off your debt to income ratio. But you and I don't fit in a box. That's the thing. Like, we're not normal W-2 employees that are fitting into a box. We got irregular income and all this other stuff. And when you're self-employed, and when you don't get a W-2 and you get a 1099 or a K-2 or whatever, you really got to make sure the lender first off knows how to really work that. I mean, and I know that sounds weird, but like, the world is set up for people who are the W-2, get paid every 2 weeks. I get my paycheck, I deposit my paycheck, I pay my normal bills, and that's it. Right. And that's why they can push the button and get the easy button, or what it's up for, the mortgage, push button, get mortgage. That might be a shots fired indirectly if you didn't pick up on that.
So can I just I'm not gonna use any names. The listing agent who we're working with right now, she has a list of lenders that she will not accept pre-approval letter from. She just made that clear.
Because it's basically written on toilet paper.
Strategy. I don't want to steal her strategy, but if you're a listing agent out there, you might consider what Mike's saying right here. Just up front, deals fall apart because list out all the reasons deals fall apart, and then get ahead of that.
So and this is not that, Tim, but
push button, get mortgage. Okay.
We want to do it at a time. And this is where I think that we differentiate, and especially understanding the stress level of the client. And you're an anomaly. Like Tim, like the stressful part for Tim was not just making the decision to move and finding the house. It all kind of like fell into it. Like all your stresses basically happened in the last little bit. And I want to get into about how, because you got a diverse household of personalities, how everybody's handling the stress of the move and the loss of going from one community and the excitement of going to another. But we as professionals, should be helping people make the key decisions before things get too emotional.
Mhm.
So if you're a lender or you're an agent who's dealing in hope, and I hope this deal works out and whatever else, and then I'll do the work, like you're doing such a disservice because you know
Yep.
that 92% of the transactions don't go exactly as planned.
Yep.
And we've got to, and so we're going to have to help people get through this stuff. So as much of that stuff we can uncover on the front end. So the lenders that we work with, like if my lender says he can do it, he's going to be able to do it. We don't get surprises. Nothing falls out because he's basically doing a full underwrite and asking for all the documentation before he gives them their letter.
Right.
You know, he's doing all the work up front. And they're like, well, why would he do that if he doesn't know he's getting the deal? Because if the referral's coming from us, he's getting the deal.
Right. Yeah.
He's not getting shopped. You know, it's because we work relationally. And so, and then the amount of agents who do not control that process, who are so afraid, I don't know, from a legality standpoint or what, of like saying, oh, you know, work with whatever lender you want. And then they get them under contract. And it's like, let me know when the closing is. Whew, man, I just couldn't even like fathom.
Well,
like I want to have full control.
Yeah, just real quick. I know we're talking about change and leading through change, and we're going to talk about personalities and like emotional. Like I love that you teed that up. Before we do, what do you as the listing agent or not listing agent, buy side agent, when you refer your lender, what does that conversation to Tim Hooper look like so that I don't go shop your lender?
Yeah.
Like how do you set that up?
Yeah, so it's like, hey, number one, Tim, you can work with any lender that you want to work with. I just want to make sure you know that. But I will tell you that, and I might give 2 or 3 names, but I usually have 2 names. But I'm really usually matching breaks up personality to one person. I'm going to just use his name. I'm going to say Brian. Okay, Brian's amazing. If you're a VA, Brian does the education for the VA loan for the state of Kentucky. He's incredible.
Wow.
Also, if you want to learn a lot about bourbon, Brian's your guy. So I would say, hey, you can work with whatever lender you want, but I'm just going to let you know that Brian and I have been working together for years. And when you look at working with a lender, a lot of people think that you want to shop rates. Well, all these people are basically getting the rate from the same place. And if you see a rate, number one, the rate they quote you today is not necessarily the rate you're going to get when you close, or when you lock it in. Number two, I mean, by the way, that right there shocks so many people. It's like, oh, well, this guy's giving me this rate. They think that, you know, that's what the rate was today. Like the rate probably changed 3 hours ago, right?
Yeah,
So the rates really should not be off by more than just a little bit. And if they are, it's because you're paying for that in points or whatever else, some other way that you, and a lot of people don't grasp the fact that they're paying points.
Do you know what shocks me? Is how many lenders don't ask
if you want to pay points.
Well, that, but a better question I feel like is how much does the rate matter to you?
Well, yeah, because it really people misunderstand rates.
I've learned through my own transition right now is most lenders who are, you know, I see all the posts right when the Fed does its thing. Oh, rates are going to come down. I've learned that most lenders, they're in their own headspace.
Yep.
Most people don't care about the rate. You know what most people care about right now?
Probably their closing costs.
The list,
yeah.
But the listing price, all of the inventory's tight and prices are still a seller's market. That's what people care about. So, but then also, I think right up close, neck and neck, is cash to close.
And maybe because where the rate factors in is, I don't know if people care as much about the listing price as much as they do what their monthly payment's going to be.
Monthly payment for sure. And I think that before you even go, like, I'm going to quote you the rate, ask how important is rate to you? And you're right, monthly. Well, how does that affect my monthly payment? Well, let's look at all that. If you're moving from here to there, what's the taxes difference? What's the insurance difference? Is there going to be PMI? Like all those questions, like build that out in my head, because then the rate matters less to me. we might be talking about a rate over here because I misunderstood my monthly payment structure and what is actually driving that.
Man,
Did
that's
you know,
100%.
by the way, that moving from rural Virginia to like city, my car insurance like cut in half. I'm like,
Really?
how in the freak? And
You would thought it'd been the
it's
opposite.
it's all the deer. We're like in deer country. And I've never hit a deer in 8 years, so there's that. But
Knock on wood on that one. You don't want to get car insurance in Kentucky. I can tell you that.
Well, you got bourbon. Yeah, no,
yeah, but I think ultimately that is really true. So I just make sure that they know that if they work with Brian.
Yeah.
I said, if you work with Brian, I would like for you to at least give Brian a shot, see if he's competitive, whatever else. Brian, number one, is going to do an incredible job of educating the person. By the way, I'm giving the Requity profile to Brian, so Brian knows exactly how to frame everything on this person. And then, and Brian is going to, what Brian's amazing about, and this is the lender. If you're an agent, realtor, this is what you need. Brian is best at making sure that he can figure out what is the best loan path for that person, and then present them and say, hey, here's your options. And this is why I think you should go with this loan path. It's not always the one that makes Brian the most money. And if you got a pre-approval from someone else, he's going to look it over and he's going to say, we just want to make you aware of these things. Or it's like, hey, this is a great offer. You should go with this person. I mean, he'll do that. And he's done it before. He's always doing what's best for the client. But the reality of it is because Brian and I work so closely together, and then that in turn means that we're closing with Jason, and I got to give him a little shout. And so, not that Jason actually does anything. Mary and Megan are the ones that we got to keep happy. We're able to then basically solve problems as they come, and lots of times things come up and we got them fixed, or we got a solution to offer the buyer that has been vetted by all sides because they're lockstep. And that you are really, as a buyer, you're putting together this team that's got to work together with all these intertwined details,
right?
That if the parties don't know each other, can be very clunky. It's almost like if you went to a wedding and the bride and the groom and the preacher didn't know each other, right? And it's like, and it's clunky and it doesn't feel right, versus like a well-oiled, vetted out machine, and how important that can be. So
I'm gonna ask you one more question, then we're gonna go to the leading emotions. I'm
not really sure that this episode went the way we thought it would, but that's all right. It goes the way it needs to go.
It unpacked pretty cool. I mean, from Chrissy to like our shit and just blending the two. But if I'm a lender and I know, like, well, I don't know, but I'm assuming you and Brian have had this tight relationship for a long time, and I'm like the guy who wants to be Brian in your life.
Yeah.
What do I have to say to earn a deal?
What do you have to say to earn a deal?
I'll say nothing. What do I have to do?
Let me tell you this funny story. So like I had somebody that Chrissy went to high school with, who I also knew, had a new guy in her life, and he's a lender, and she's like, hey, do you mind just like having coffee with this guy? And I was like, sure. And back then, like, I really, like, I have a very limited filter, and I'm pretty pragmatic, and I'm to the point, and I'm pretty, so it's like, listen. And so he called me. He's like, hey, I just want to make full disclosure. I was like, I got Brian's my go-to, and then Kelly's kind of my number two. And I'm happy to meet for coffee, but you just need to know exactly where I stand right now. Right. So like, I'm kind of spoken for. And he's like, no problem. Just really like to, the chance to have coffee. And I was like, and the number one thing that you better not do is do not sit down and show me your rate sheet. I could care less about your rate sheet. And I was like, I care about how are you going to improve my client's experience? What is your underwriting process like? How much control do you all have over that? And then how are you going to be able to help me provide this experience for my clients who I hope to get referrals from? The closing is the most immediate part of the paycheck, but it's the least important part of the paycheck. The repeat and the referral business is what it's all about.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we get to coffee, we sit down, and he pulls out his rate sheet. I kid you not, Tim. I told you exactly how to serve me. And then, like, dude, I was like, and I even said, dude, I literally told you how to serve me and what I was looking for. And you came back and you showed me your rate sheet, and you think I'm going to trust you with my clients? Like, No freaking way.
Wow.
No
Wow.
way.
Oh,
So I guess that was the best way for me to answer that question is like, show me how you're going to be able to add value to my business and how, and this is not, and this is, I think in the lender and title world, you're like, oh, that means they're asking for us to sponsor stuff. They're asking for us to pay for their Zillow leads. They're asking for that. No, I'm actually not asking for any of this stuff. I'm asking that when my client comes through, they get white glove, Sam Trimble VIP service.
bespoke.
Right?
Bespoke. Yes.
Red
Sam
carpets
taught me that
out.
word. Yes.
I want
Bespoke
my
model, man.
person to feel like this is a celebration. I want it elevated. I want, how I want to know how easy we're going to make this, how stress-free we're going to make this on my client. That's what I'm talking about. I don't need you to pay for anything. And it was so, I told the story at Energize about how this other title company is trying to get some of our business. And we just had an all company event, and she's like, and she connected me with a guy who hosted the all company event. And she's like, well, what can we do? I was like, you know what? We're good. I don't need you to pay for lunch or buy anything right now, because at the end of the day, I don't necessarily know exactly that I want to be
indebted
to I'm not there yet with them, so
it's such a good model. When I was in the automotive space for 10 years, that was a lot of, I worked with a lot of Japanese folks, and that was one of the things was like, we don't go to lunch. Like I couldn't take those engineers to lunch till we were like working on a project, till we had made it through the RFQ stage and we had secured a purchase order. Then it was like we could go celebrate at lunch. It was their culture not to be indebted. And you'll find this in different cultures. I think we're such a let's go grab lunch. Let me buy these drinks. We're so quick to pull out the Amex card and scratch something. You don't even, especially if you're in a multicultural area and you're selling into that, be very mindful. You might actually be offending somebody out offering to pick up drinks. So anyway, I love where your headspace is at. Anyway, I wanted to ask because again,
well, by the way, being a Sicilian, you definitely don't want to be indebted to anybody. So just putting that out there. So
hey, after you see the shroud, we're only indebted to one person.
That's right, man. That's right.
Wow. All right. So let's really quickly shift into, because you and I were talking yesterday on the phone, and thanks for that call, by the way. This is perfect. But it's like, hey, through these seasons, it's changed. Like I told you from the get-go, it's like, I didn't want to move. I thought we were done. Like, and I was like, my prayer was like, God, like these aren't 4 little kids anymore that we could just move across state. And they're very like, I mean, everybody's resilient. I believe you could be 91 years old and resilient if you have the right environment. I truly believe that. Oh, he's so stuck in his ways, he can't change. I think I've seen some old people, and I'm fully owning that. I've seen some old people with the most resilient mindset because they practiced it all their life. So I'm not going there, but my kids are a lot older now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, God, they've put roots down, and we have worked really hard to like invest our community and our church group and like all this. And I'm like, and then my wife, I mean, she was the one who felt this like earlier. I've kind of been sensing like there's something going, but she's like, honey, here's the heavy news. We got to move. I'm like, oh, it's actually not heavy at all. I'm like, let's do it. So, but I'm like, God, there's 6 humans here, myself included. I'm like, I don't know where to put us all in the world. Like, which GPS coordinates are going to work for us? Because I believe there is a place, like there's a place designed for everybody's DNA. And so that was my prayer. Like, I just put lights and flashing signs, and like, I need that. So sure enough, boom, 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 answers. But I'm like, throughout this journey, Mike, it's like in my face every day. And God's goodness to like show signs and reflections of this throughout the day, because I move so fast. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then I start trucking. And I'm very goal, like, boom, that's the goal, we're going to go. That I oftentimes forget to slow down. And I do this when I'm coaching. I do this with my team, F&F, who I'm contracted with. I do this with my church group. I could do this with I do this with Jen, where I could get in like, okay, we had this conversation, we agreed. Now, boom, and then I forget they're not the same emotional DNA as Tim Hooper.
Mm.
So with our teams, with our family, with our lenders, with our buyers, like when we're talking about deals and structuring deals, they're not the same emotional type. And I know we know personality profiles, disc profiles. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about they may be high one day and low the next. And you may be high, 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 because you're just like, you're trucking that way because you're on mission. And as long as you're on mission, you're high. They might be on mission too, but they're like, I think it's like when you study Moses, it's why he was like the meekest man. They say that he was the meekest person, or his he was meekness. He was known for meekness.
Yeah.
Like 3 million people who are like, and not all of those people are like this, but there were
On a
certainly
4-year journey.
Wow. Which didn't need to be. It's like 11 days turned to 40 years. But anyway, so just checking in with the souls of your people. And I'll tell you what really, like, you can understand this by how withdrawn people feel, but that's not always the indicator. We know that. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the most into it person in the room. They're listening. But you can gauge, like, if your kids are like seeming a little withdrawn or a little quieter than typical or whatever, just like stopping and just asking some what I call soul care questions.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you called me up not too long ago. You said, "Hey man, where you at?" And I was like, man, it just boom, it hit me. I was like, I've not been asked that question by another dude for a long time. And it's more in recovery, which I've shared my recovery journey a bit. In recovery, that's a big question. Like, where are you? Not how are you? What are you up to? It's how, or it's where are you? Like, where? That's a soul care question. But it's just pulling your daughter in and saying, like, hey, I see you. Like, there's a lot. Like, I noticed my daughter was procrastinating packing her room.
Mm.
And so I was just like, tell me about this. Like, it wasn't about procrastinating. It was like, tell me about, like, when you go up to your room and you sit there to put books in a box, what are you feeling? And she just starts breaking down like, oh, it's just, I have so many memories of it. She just starts talking. I'm like, so we just sat on the bed for like 30 minutes and talked. And then the kids at their final youth group, the like youth pastor brought like the leaders and they all prayed over them. And my son came to me. He's like, all of the leaders' prayers, amazing. Like, hopefully they watch this and it meant so much to me as a parent and them. But he said when another teenager chimed into the prayer and prayed, it was like the guy Jeremy like looks up to. And it's like when he prayed, that prayer meant so much to Jeremy. And then when I went to pick up my kids, my daughter just came to me and she just cried on my shoulder. And I just sensed this release, like all these roots, and these are her spiritual mentors, and they just prayed over her. It was like she had this blessing to like step into this. And she's the one going to college here. She's like excited they're all so excited, but it's like there's this excitement and this grief being held in equal honor. And as leaders, if we could do that. And here's the other thing. Let's go to like the business side. When somebody on your team says, I don't see how this can work, they're not necessarily being negative. They're probably saying something like, you've made us go through these paces before and you gave up on the project after we put in all the work.
Love it.
When somebody is like negative, it's probably not negative. You need to look and ask some soul care questions, because they're not as like, I want to try this and I want to try that and I want to try this. They're not you. So as a leader, I think, and I've had to learn this and eat humble pie every day and even back up and, hey, babe, sorry I didn't take the time to just sit and listen. Like I was on
Be present.
Yes, but understand that everyone is different emotionally and will need, and just as a leader, are you available? Are you willing to ask the soul care questions? That's what God's been just like, boom, boom.
Well, so
boom.
going back to the business side, I mean, this is why I'm on such a soapbox about, like, we cannot have a one size fits all process. Everything's going to have to be, as Will Goddard talks about in Unreasonable Hospitality, it's got to be a one-on-one process. And you are dealing with individual, like in your case, 6 individual humans who handle change, who handle stress, who handle the emotions. And I mean, and let's really think about it. Human beings real estate agents have a one size fits all process, and lenders do too, because we're creatures of routine, of habit.
Yeah.
If you don't think you have a routine, you still have a routine, even if your routine is get up, sit on the couch, watch the news, and doom scroll. That is still your routine, not a healthy one, but it is your routine. And the reality of it is, we all brush our teeth the same way every day. I mean, all this stuff happens. You just took basically someone's routine and completely shifted it to where they've got to have a new routine. And in some ways, Tim, as a parent, in your case, you got like, this is when your kids are at their most vulnerable to going into a negative routine if they're not intentional about choosing the new routine, right? You're not going to walk out of your bedroom and turn the same way to go to the bathroom to, everything changes. You're not going to the same grocery store. You're not going to, the amount of time it's going to take you to get up on a Sunday morning and get to church is going to be completely different. So all this change is happening around at once, and all these new routines are quickly going to take shape. And if you're not intentional, then it can be very, very dangerous. And as a real estate professional, if you want to make a huge impact, you're in tune to the fact that you are onboarding someone into a brand new community in a new routine.
There it is.
And when the commission check has been paid and you're still hosting the housewarming party to get them so people can get to know their neighbors, and they can bring old friends to the new house and bring new friends to the house. And when you're helping them figure out who's the pediatrician and this is where you want to go, then you're helping onboard the family to the new community. Dude, you're playing at a different game. You're playing at a completely different level, man. Guess what? The whole time that's happening, they're talking about, oh, my real estate agent recommended this, and my real estate agent did this, and my real estate, and it's like, oh, we're thinking about moving. Your person sounds amazing. Like, think about how many times in the next year you're going to be talking about the new house, and you're going to be talking about your experience, and that reticulator activator is like just going, and you're going to be able to have, if your person can recognize it, like if we do the work where they can recognize, hey, I'm going to introduce you to my real estate agent because it looks like he could probably help you guys out too. Like, this is where your marketing comes to light. This is where you create these advocates, right?
Wow, dude, you're hitting on so much. I'm just thinking back when you said, the new house, you're going to turn a different way out of your bedroom. What's interesting too, and this is like hitting me in a whole new way. Maybe it's just being older, but hearing my kids as we're packing up talk about the house, the memories are coming back fresh. The things that you are like, I haven't heard them talk about our house like this. You kind of feel, in a way, you could go like on the negative side, be like, dude, like you're just now seeing that.
Yeah.
Or you could realize that, no, it's actually the human psyche is paying more attention. The subconscious mind's paying more attention because we're about to leave this place. So like my son, Ethan, the other day, he says, what a bummer. I'm like, what's a bummer? He's like, I just finally figured out of the two switches on the wall, which switch, exactly which switch turned the dining room on and which switch turned the stairs to the basement on. Like,
that's funny.
I just mastered it. So it's like this little bit of it was a light grief light, but it was bummer. I just mastered that skill after 8 years. And I laughed and I'm like, buddy, I still haven't mastered it. It's always like, but it's the simple little things like that to realize, to slow down, to realize no, change is the only constant, but nobody really likes change. So when you're moving, it's a heightened stress. And as a real estate professional, as a loan officer, don't get so spreadsheet minded. And here's the same thing, high tech, high touch. Don't get so behind your computer minded that you forget there's a soul, there's emotions, there's somebody struggling with the move. They don't have to have something in their life going on. The move is going on and everything's a heightened sense. So if they're a little snippy, It's because their emotions are sloshing. They're being tipped and tilted, and what's inside is sloshing out. Hold that. The good and the bad and the ugly. Hold it. So care. Lean in. The tears are okay, by the way. If
I love it.
somebody's told me this, a leader a long time ago, we need to wrap this. If they can cry with you, you're in a good spot as a leader. But some of us later, oh no, what did I do? You know what you did? You were there present for them to cry. Lean into the soul care and seasons of change.
And one of the best books, we'll end with this. I'll recommend a resource. One of the best books that I've found with people being able to have awareness of how change affects them, but also how they respond with actual tactical things that they can do, is this book by Katie Milkman, How to Change.
Oh, wow.
All right. Angela Duckworth, if you ever read the book Grit.
The science,
they worked together at the University of Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken, with what's the guy's name? Man, another famous author. I'm blanking on his name, but this book, this How to Change, man. This How to Change book
of getting from where you are to where you want to be.
Yep. Wow. That's why it's on the back shelf right there, because this is the book that I think is amazing to help. So if you're a professional and you want to recognize the change issues that are going through, and you want to maybe have some tactical ways of how to help them through, Katie's book is fantastic. So
speaking of Angela Duckworth, favorite quote of mine: enthusiasm is easy, endurance is hard. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
And man, I'll tell you what, that right there, along with high touch plus high tech multiplied by high trust, those two things those are the two keys to having a successful career in real estate, lending, or title right there. So
bam.
I love it. All right, man. We'll see you next time
next week
on the Trust Factor. The Trust Factor podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. You can even watch us on YouTube.
And subscribe to the channel so you can comment and drop your questions and share it with your team.